Hello, my friends. Today is a good day. As you can see right behind me, Lotus Esprit. So we're going to be talking all about this one. This is one of our customers, a regular customer, so I appreciate him letting me make a video on this special car. And we are going to cover all about the history of Lotus Cars. Informational yet slightly annoying videos about cars and automobile history, well then, by Jove, you should certainly subscribe, hit that button right there, and hit the bell icon so that you can be notified whenever I post a video. Of course, we should go ahead and start with the man, the myth, the legend, Colin Chapman, all right? The F1 engineer genius, okay? And the bright mind all behind Lotus Cars. Now, Colin, he had a background in engineering, and from there he joined the London Air Squadron, and then from there, shortly, the Royal Air Force. And it's likely that those are the roots that really helped in his engineering for Formula One and his Lotus race cars. Now, the crazy thing is that it was really in Chapman's free time that he sprouted the roots that would eventually become Lotus Cars. In 1948, he took an Austin 7 and he made it into his first race car, the Mark I. Then he took that off and started just whooping ass at local trial racing events. Now, he would name the Mark I Lotus, and we don't have any exact confirmation about what Lotus means or what it meant to him or blah, blah, blah. But there is some speculation. His girlfriend at the time, Hazel, who would then become his wife, he called her Lotus Blossom, which is super sweet. I don't think I've ever been called anything that nice before. But that would be the beginning of the name Lotus, which would eventually become Lotus Cars and then also sprout off into a team for F1, Team Lotus. Of Chapman was his ability to bend and adapt rules without quite breaking them. And he once famously said, "Rules are for the obedience of fools and the interpretations of smart men." Now, Chapman really had his own mantra when it came to racing and engineering of race cars, all right? He really believed in, to quote him, simplify and then add lightness. And another one of his famous adages is, adding power makes you faster on the straights, subtracting weight makes you faster everywhere. It would be in 1954 that Team Lotus was founded, and they would be active in Formula One racing from 1958 to 2004. And during those years, Chapman would change and revolutionize that sport so much that he is considered one of the grandfathers of Formula One. Changed Formula One forever. In fact, some of Chapman's ideas are still visible in today's Formula One. Chapman was among the first to use aerodynamics within the engineering of a Formula One race vehicle, okay? He also used the concept of positive aerodynamic downforce with the addition of wings. And he was also the guy that pioneered using the ground effect, which is essentially low pressure created under the car to create downforce. So I'm gonna quick fire a couple of fun Team Lotus racing history facts, and then we'll jump back over to Lotus Cars and keep talking about that, right? So, Team Lotus, they had 7 World Championship victories underneath their belt. They were the first team to ever have 50 victories within F1. They were the first mid-engined car to win at the Indy 500, and that was the Lotus 38. And they were the first all-wheel drive F1 car. And they were the first to paint their race cars the colors of their sponsors. And some would say that was really the catalyst, the first domino that would take Formula One racing from being just a rich gentleman's sport to being this high-tech, multi-million-dollar motorsport. That things for Lotus cars really started to take off. And it all started with the Lotus 7. And I had already mentioned before how Chapman was just clutch at let's not say breaking, but bending the rules just so he needs to. Now, it was with the Lotus 7 that he figured out a way to sell it as a kit car, even though it was basically completely already assembled, but he was able to sell it as a kit car, get it over to the US, get it across seas, and completely circumvent the very heavy purchase surcharge that went along. And now we're going to go ahead and fast forward just a little bit to 1971, and in between that time period there would be a lot of fast, lightweight Lotus cars, and sequential numbering would come out of Lotus cars. But in 1971, this is where the magic of the Lotus Esprit begins, all right? Chapman arranges to meet with Giorgetto Giugiaro. Oh, I practiced his name earlier. I'm still going to have a hard one. He arranges to meet with the prolific designer, Giorgetto Giugiaro. And by prolific, I mean freaking prolific, all right? This is the guy that did the supercar BMW M1 in 1977. He did the ISO Grifo, he did the ISO Revolta, he did the Maserati Quattroporte, the older edition. Did I just flick y'all off for a while there? Sorry. He did the Mangusta, the DeLorean, the Maserati 5000 GT, and I could go on. There is a lot of fantastic designs underneath Giorgetto Giugiaro, underneath that guy's very talented belt. All right, now back to 1971. Chapman wants to meet with Giugiaro to have his Maserati Boomerang concept car serve as the inspiration for the Esprit. And it's considered one of the first polygonal folded paper design shapes for a car. Now, interesting thing though is that the Esprit almost didn't become a thing. Now, apparently there was some kind of crappy wind tunnel results that made Chapman freak out and completely pull the plug on the project. Now, Giugiaro was no quitter. He said, F it, I'm gonna continue doing this anyways. And he created a full-size mock-up dubbed the Silver Car that went on to the 1972 Turin Auto Show and absolutely blew people's minds. And it was with that charade that made Chapman invest fully in the Lotus Esprit project again. The Lotus Esprit was the takeover for the Lotus Europa, which I'm sure some of y'all are familiar with. And it would start with the S1, the S2, the S3, the Lotus Turbo Esprit, the Lotus Esprit Turbo. They just switched that around for some reason for the different years. And then the S4, and then the X180, and then the S4, and then this Lotus V8. production from 1976 to 2004 at their Hethel base in the UK, there would be 10,675 Lotus Esprits ever made. And random fun fact, the Lotus Esprit was one of the last ever produced vehicles that have pop-up headlights. All right, guys, it's totally beer 30. Let's do this. I brought a special beer with me today. It is Devil's Backbone. It's freaking delicious. It is an ABV of 9%. Is it? Where is that listed? Or maybe 12. Let's see. It's not listed on there. I know it's high, basically. Ooh, delicious. Oh my God, it's so tasty. So tasty. Thank you, Devil's Backbone. You're not sponsoring this or anything. You're just delicious. And I was craving you and I purchased you at our local liquid town. So, cheers!
Yeah, we are bringing the taste of
Alright, now this guy is powered by a Type 918 V8 engine, which is all aluminum, 90-degree dual overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, and 2 turbochargers. Can reach a speed of 175 miles per hour. And now, fun fact, the Type 918 engine actually had to be detuned from 500 horsepower to, I feel like it was like 350 horsepower. I feel like that's the number. Anyways, they had to detune it in order to prevent gearbox damage. So it's basically fast, fun, and light. To welcome you and introduce you to Shook Enterprises. I film here time to time. This is our family mechanic shop. We've been in business for over 40 years. It's kind of like a member of the family, even though it's a business, but you know how that works. And I spent a lot of my teenage years here, so this place means a lot. So I hope you enjoy us filming here, and I certainly appreciate our customers for being so awesome and letting me film their even more awesome cars. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this whole nutty John DeLorean scandal that went on with Chapman. So the quick on that, John DeLorean hired Lotus Cars to help with the DeLorean. John DeLorean then got caught in an FBI cocaine sting. Then it was discovered that 10 million pounds of British taxpayers' money was missing. Then there was some Swiss-based Panamanian company involved. And then before all of that was actually and truly unraveled as to how much Lotus Cars was participating in that, Colin Chapman died of a heart attack at 54. Now, there's been some conspiracy theorists that he didn't quite die, that he ran off to South America and is enjoying a life down there. I don't know. All right, so let's talk about this. This is a funny fact. So here you see the Lotus emblem, okay? Most of y'all are familiar with it. Now, inside of this, there is a ACBC lettering. Some of Colin's early partners were the Allens brothers. So he told them that the AB in there stood for Allen Brothers, right? Wrong. They actually stand for, his full name is a long name. It's Anthony Colin Bruce Chapman. So the ACBC stands for all of his initials. That was not that cool of a thing to do to the Allen brothers. All right, guys, I hope hope you had fun because obviously I sure do, right? If you have anything pleasant to say, well then by golly, please say it down in the comments. If you have anything negative to say, keep it to yourself. I've already heard it. What's your favorite Lotus? What do you think about the Lotus Esprit? What do you think really happened to Colin Chapman? See you next time. Cheers!